Without Jayden Daniels, the Commanders went out there with Marcus Mariota and beat the Raiders 41-24. And I think this is a turning point for them not being a laughable organization from this point forward. Do I think this win means that they're necessarily better than they were last year? I don't. But I think last year, let's just be honest, I mean, we thought, at least I thought personally, a lot of it was Jayden Daniels coming in and really having a magical run, or just being that great of a quarterback to where him and the infrastructure to some degree, but where he could lead a team to the NFC Championship game as a rookie. Now, Dan Quinn, we've known he's made Super Bowls before. Cliff Kingsbury, we knew could call offenses, but I still personally, can only talk for myself, had the belief that, and we know Scary Terry is a very good player, but the belief, in my opinion, was that Jayden Daniels, like, he's doing things, he's throwing the ball deep, he's running the ball, he's scrambling, he's doing all this stuff, and that is why, they went to the NFC Championship game. They scored 52 points against the Lions, all of the comeback victories, all of that. To do what they did to the Raiders, and I'm not saying the Raiders are a great team, but to do what they did to the Raiders without your starting quarterback was incredibly impressive stuff. First off, they start the game off with a huge return for Deebo Samuel, and he has proved to be just a very big impact player for them, just in how they use all their players. He's perfect for them to have another wideout who's not Terry, who can catch those short stuff, or take a handoff and really be involved in the run game like they had him today, on all those motions, all that misdirection. I mean, you really saw, like, the screens, all the play calling. Like, this was just a play calling mismatch between the Commanders and the Raiders, at least when the Commanders were on offense and the Raiders were on defense. They were running the ball, they were throwing it whenever necessary. Mariota had 247 total yards, 200 through the air, 40 more through the ground, 2 total touchdowns. Now, he did have a fumble where he was being a bit of a goof. It looked like he was taking off, actually, for 35 yards, but then he's jumped up, hurdling, trying to still make another play, got the ball punched out, fumbled it. But even despite that, they still scored 40 points. McNichols took off for a big touchdown run. Chris Rodriguez was running downhill. But what they looked like was an organization that's not just one player, obviously, because that player is out, but they looked like a real complete team. Now, the defense wasn't great. Their passing defense is just going to have problems. They left 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks. But they were getting pressure up the middle and doing enough in those big moments to really make sure Geno didn't do anything until garbage time. Like, they put it on the Raiders. It was impressive stuff. It really was. And to know they got the right backup quarterback as well to run that system, to even where they don't have to throw it quite as much, they can still run a lot of read options and stuff. I'm thoroughly impressed with what they've kind of built, with what Dan Quinn has. I had this argument with people in my chat. They were saying that the Cowboys were a better team than the Commanders, and maybe even the Giants, because the Commanders were one-year wonders. They had an older team. Oh, Von Miller got a sack today, too. I mentioned that. Speaking of old heads. And all this and that and the other. But the thing about it is that they weren't considering, when I was talking to them, like, I mean, we know, like, Dan Quinn is a better coach than Brian Schottenheimer and Brian Daboll, and this is the example. Like, this is what you see. They had a great plan. They executed the plan. No one had to play outside of themselves for them to smoke another football team, and they did it again without their starting quarterback. And I don't think the Commanders are a crazily talented team. Like, I don't think this is one of the most talented teams in the league. Now, you could argue the addition of Tunsil. They definitely, with those veterans, they have more talent than they had last year. But I don't think most people were even making that argument. I think it was going the other way. Like, oh, they're kind of old, decrepit, all that stuff. The Commanders have built an impressive infrastructure when you can go out and do that. And I know I keep harping on it. Yeah, they didn't have Jayden, but whatever. They have all these other players. The Raiders stink. I haven't emphasized that enough. The Raiders do stink. I think we've reached the point, they beat the Pats, and that was cool, but then the Chargers kind of whooped them, and then the Commanders today, I mean, they have no offensive line, no defensive line, the Raiders do, But you got to be able to expose those things. And so for your D-line and offensive line to take over the game, for you to be able to run the ball as effectively as you did, where you can just control the game and only use Mariota a little bit, impressive stuff out of the Commanders. Now, what we do not know right now is when Jayden Daniels has a timetable for return, and that is big because upcoming week they play the Atlanta Falcons on the road in Atlanta, and that Atlanta defense will not allow the Washington to do what the Raiders allowed them to do, which is just run all over them. Now, if Jayden's playing, could be a completely different game, and I think that Washington will win, but his question is up in the air. His status, is up in the air. And at this point, if I'm being honest, you got kind of a win you needed. I might even sit him another week. That Packers game, obviously, they beat the hell out of them, so I would just sit him maybe one more week this game. The Falcons have a similar kind of pass rush, and you don't want to throw him in there if he's not 100%. Especially because you've proven that you can win a game. The spread right now with him in doubt is Washington favored by 1.5, despite Atlanta being a home team. So Vegas is even telling you, yeah, look, like the Commanders are just better than them. They're just a better team, and I can't disagree right now. So, but we will see what happens. Penix can't throw the ball or run, and at least Mariota can run. But we shall see. I'm very interested to see how the Commanders really kind of play this Jayden Daniels situation. But winning that game was huge for them, because if you lose, then you might panic, try to bring him back. Oh, we've lost 2 in a row. Maybe you start thinking about that noise, like maybe we're not that good. Maybe this is our drop-off year. But they look more, how do I put this, more well together. Like that didn't look like last year where they were coming from behind. That looked like just we're a better team. We're out coaching you, out schematicking you, and we're out talenting you on this field. And that is something that the Commanders, definitely for them, that's going to be important that continues, whether Jayden is on or off the field.